Good afternoon. At the beginning, let me express condolences to all the families. This terrorist attack was supported and organized, set up by Russian party. Security services is responsible for investigation of this terroristic act of terrorism. We have proof, we have evidence that it was planned and it was committed with the participation of Russian Federation, representatives of Russian Federation. And before this event, Russia was preparing since 29th of June this year. You see on this slide, there's a screenshot of a page of Russian agency, information agency Tartas. They announced that separatists on the 29th of June, they got access to BUK land-air systems, missile systems. On the 17th of July this year, Tartas tells something different. And they say terrorists don't have access and they don't have such systems, BUK system. It speaks about that all Russian media is lying, cynical. It's cynical propaganda, and Russia is trying today to draw. They are trying to not to be responsible for this, and they want to blame anyone, but they don't want to be responsible. And I confirm that there's a security service, and we work on investigation, and we have evidence, obvious evidence. On this slide, you see that BUK system M1, BUK M1 system. It was identified on one of the streets of Torres city on the 17th of July. Professionals told us that system, BUK M1, can launch missiles without special, independently, autonomously. We know that members of the team, among the members of the team, there were Russian citizens. The security service of Ukraine published phone calls, full conversations of terrorists, and they spoke that this BUK M1 system was supposed to join a column and to move to Pervomaisk town. These are pictures. Well, they were taken on the way of that column. You see there is a tank terrorists have, then a military vehicle with a terrorist, and also there was, in that column, there was a tug vehicle with this BUK M1 system. This picture was taken near Torres about 16:20, and not far from Snizhne village. This is what is left after the missile, and that missile which shot down Boeing 777. So we identified the place from which they launched that missile, and we clearly know that the area where they launched the missile, it was under the control of terrorist organizations. There is no doubt that terrorists knew that they launched a missile and against the plane, which was higher than 10,000 meters. On this slide, we have a picture on the way of that launch system from Snizhne, and it is moved to Russian border. After they shot down the plane, after that terrorist act, Russian side told them to pull away that system outside of Ukraine. You see on one of the slides, on all of the pictures, you see that one missile is missing on a launching pod. on a launching pad. And we see, and we will provide evidence to all international organizations that Russia gave an order to terrorists to take from Ukraine all BUK and WAN systems. There were many of them, not one. We clearly identified that on the 18th of July, at 2 o'clock in the morning, in Luhansk region, state border of Ukraine, near Severna Rekhavka, Russian Federation, two big trucks, pulling trucks, had, and on each one there was this BUK missile system. On the first one there were 4 missiles, so it was not used. On the other one there were 3 missiles. At 4 o'clock, 3 more such trucks moved through Ukrainian border. One with what was empty, had empty platform. On the other one there was a system with 4 missiles, and on the other one there was that was probably a module of check-in module or direct guiding module. We know that Russia is trying to hide its terrorist activity and that their direct involvement to terrorist attack in the sky over Ukraine. Now the international community should ask Russian authorities, President Putin, how Russia will help in the investigation of this terrorist act. We demand to allow us to interview Russian military men who launched that missile. Thank you. I'm ready to answer questions. I have a question. Whom did you provide this evidence? And also, we gave that evidence to all our international partners. We cooperate with our Dutch partners and with FBI, the US FBI, during this investigation. We know clearly that the investigation was started in all the countries, citizens of which died because of this terrorist act, and we are ready to provide all the evidence we have. Is there reaction of your colleagues from other countries? All our partners who run their investigations independently, they all confirm that they launched that missile from the territory which is under the control of terrorists, and terrorists could not get a BUK number M1 except from Russian Federation. We have a question from Euronews. Please, your question in English.
On Euronews, I would like to know whether, well, the US said that they have evidences of this missile that was launched from an area controlled by the separatists. And I would like to know whether they have these same evidences and whether they got these evidences autonomously, or you provided them with this, or did they provide you this information? Thank you.
В рамках слідства здійснюється.
During the investigation, we share all evidence, all data. We provide all the data, all the evidence that we collected. We share with our American colleagues. The American colleagues, because of their own legislation, they run their own investigation, and the evidence will be attached to our criminal case, to the criminal case. Some questions and clarifications, please. From which place did they shoot at that missile? Where's that place? Also, do you have evidence from that, from the crash site where the Boeing fell? Now, the investigation says the missile was launched from Snezhnoye village. We would not like, in the interest of the investigation, will not give exact, precise site from where they launched it, and we know about that, and we take all possible measures to get to that site and to get evidence. But terrorists who control that territory, they don't allow to do that. Rebels, they don't allow to get. It's impossible to get to the place now. Also, do you have evidence that that missile was they shoot that missile on purpose at the passenger's flight? I think that security services will give the answer for your question after we arrest the terrorists who were involved, the group who were guiding and that missile, and BS, when we arrest him, who was responsible for that, who was leader of that terrorist attack, and after we arrest the Russian military who launched that missile.
Hi, sir. I'm Margaret Coker from the Wall Street Journal in the United States. I would like, if possible, to clarify the two separate aircraft incidents from last week. One where the Ukrainian military cargo plane was shot down, and the commercial airliner that was shot down. Is it your information that the Ukrainian military plane was also shot down by this similar, if not the same, BUK-1 missile system? Do you have evidence that the separatists are in control of one or two of these missile systems? And if it's only one missile system, where was the missile fired from that shot down your cargo plane? As your evidence shows, there's only one missile missing from this system.
According to the investigation that we conduct, and according to the investigation that is led by the Minister of Defense, we right now can confirm only the thing that a cargo plane AN-26 was shot down by the missile. We doubt if it was the same type of missile. We think that it was another type, that BUK-1. It looks like it was a different missile up to now. Unfortunately, I do not possess right now the materials of the investigation to confirm the exact type of the missile that was launched on AN-26. Right now, we confirmed that terrorists, this is your second part of the question, terrorists possessed at least three BUK-1, because three of them trespassed illegally Ukrainian border directed to Russian Federation.
Yes, I'm sorry, it's here, Euronews again. According to your assessment, what do you think they were aimed to hit at 10,000 meter high? What kind of plane, or what kind of, apart from
well, their aim was, we know for sure, the terrorists have the plan to shut down every military plane, even cargo plane, even helicopter or jet fighters in the air over the territory of Donetsk and Lugansk region. I cannot confirm what they aimed at the moment when they launched the missile. They knew definitely that the height was more than 10,000 meters. They knew that the plane was very high, but they also knew that probably it was Ukrainian cargo plane, military plane, that was delivering a cargo to Lugansk or Donetsk region. During the investigation, we are going to get more evidences, and then we will share them with you.
But do the Ukrainian military cargo plane or other kind of military planes fly that high,
yes,
usually in the area?
It depends on the situation. They can. It depends on the situation every time, every second time.
Is there information about the number of bodies found, and how many bodies found? And is there information that terrorists are taking out those bodies and they're trying to hide evidence? We documented intentions of terrorists to hide bodies at the very beginning. When terrorists found out And we have documents about that because they had conversation calls, and when they realized that they shot down a passenger's plane, they wanted to take all the bodies and take them away. When they realized that there are too many bodies and they would not be able to hide everything, they stopped that idea. The situation about now and how many bodies they found, I don't know. Where do they take those bodies? Do you have information now? You told that you demand from Russia. You want to interview those who launched those missiles. Do you know names? We hope that Russia, during the investigation, they are obliged to give names and positions of the military men who launched the missile from BUK M1 system. That's all information I can share today.
You said you had evidence of the involvement of Russian people in this attack. Can you clarify, do you mean that the missile was shot by Russians or Russian-backed rebels?
Rebels cannot operate the very sophisticated and high-technique missile launch BUK M1. To operate BUK M1, you need to have education, military education, and to be well trained. We know for sure that the team was Russian. They were Russian citizens operating BUK M1, and they came from the territory of Russian Federation together with the missile launcher.
We have one more question from Yuri.
Sorry. Yesterday, the SBU said that two spotters, Russian spotters, were arrested at the border. What about them? Were they related to this BUK system or not, and are still under?
As I've got this, thank you. According to the chairman's statement, yes. Yesterday, two Russian citizens, two military personnel spotters were stopped on the territory, on the border, Russian-Ukrainian border. According to our intelligence, we know for sure that terrorists, they feel lack of spotters to operate Grad missile launchers. And those two military personnel, two Russian citizens, were going to operate to spot Grad missile launchers. Not this kind of missile launchers. Yes, please.
Tell me, please. You tell that a lot of missiles, a lot of other equipment is coming to Ukraine. Where is our border guards? Where are our border guards? Why don't they stop? So the security service of Ukraine cooperates as much as possible with all those units involved in anti-terrorist operations. Border Guard Service, they receive all data about possible abuse of our border. But in the area where there are battles, it's very difficult to control state border. My colleagues from State Border Guards Service, they will better comment your question. We don't hide any information. We share with all the agencies involved in anti-terrorist operation.
Back to your information that the rebels have in their possession at least 3 BUK M1 missile systems. You showed us on your slide apparent confirmation of the receipt of 1 BUK M1. Can you tell us when your intelligence information shows they first received their first missile system, when they came across your border?
The first information, let's say hinting or giving the first information was July 14th, but we could not confirm directly that it was BUK missile launcher that trespassed illegally Ukrainian territory. It was counterintelligence units who got this information from the field. And right now we know for sure that 3 missile launchers, Buk M1, they left territory of Ukraine. This information is confirmed.
Sorry. The slide that you showed us from ITAR TASS that showed on June 29th that the Buk M1 was in the rebels' possession. I'm sorry if I'm confused, but that seems to be the first public evidence that it was in their possession. You're saying your first evidence came on July 14th. So there's a discrepancy there that I don't understand.
And that was, thank you, that was the information that was provided by the terrorists to Russian media. They possess Buk M1, whom they got from the Ukrainian army. However, during the terrorist attack on the military base. However, on the territory of the military base, there were remains of one Buk M1 launcher remains without missiles, and that Buk M1 was discharged and disabled on the 3rd of March this year. It couldn't move, it couldn't operate, there were any parts at that, let's say, Buk M1 remains that could let terrorists to launch it. And right now, that missile launcher, that Buk M1 is still there on the military base, it doesn't move.
Michael Birnbaum from the Washington Post. You and your colleagues have been showing us lots of images, lots of videos from the east of Ukraine to bolster your case that the rebels were in possession of these launchers. I have a question about the general contours of the investigation. How much good intelligence are you getting from the east at this point? How many people do you have on the ground, and how long do you think it will be before you have real sort of concrete evidence and conclusions from this investigation that has started, if you're having troubles accessing the crash site?
I cannot share information, thank you so much for the question. I cannot share information about the numbers of the counterintelligence officers operating at the field. I cannot share information right now, unfortunately. I'm really sorry for that, but I cannot share information about the tactics they are using, about the plans, what they're going to do. When this situation will be under the total control of Ukrainian authority, we will share this information about the numbers of the counterintelligence units that were used during the anti-terrorist operation.
What about concrete results of the investigations? When do you expect the results?
I have no answer to this question. I mean, I don't know.
One more clarification. How many people could work on that Buk system? 3 minimum. Maximum? It depends on operational situation. You don't have information. We know about a crew of 3 who arrived from Russia together with that missile launcher.
From the New York Times. First, when did you see these 3 Buk M1s cross the border back into Russia? And secondly, you say you are sure that Russians were at the controls or helping. Is that you're sure because you have actual evidence, or just because it would have been impossible by your calculation for anyone else to operate it?
We documented negotiations between terrorists that directly told us, we got information directly from those conversations, that 3 Russian military personnel came together with Buk M1 to the territory of Ukraine. It is a direct evidence. And 3 in 1. 3 military personnel in 1 Buk M1. And 3 missile launchers, first part of your question, 3 missile launchers Buk M1 trespass Ukrainian border this night at 2 a.m. on 18th of July and 4 a.m. this morning. Yes.
Hold on.
It was 18th of July. Yeah.
Okay, do you need to repeat? Can you please repeat?
Будь ласка, ще раз повторіть.
As a full sentence. So on early in the morning, 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., 18th of July, 2 a.m. there were 2 Book M1s going directly to Russia, and at 4 a.m. there were 3 heavy tracks with one was empty, one was with Book M1, and one was with operational car that operates helps to operate Book M1.
So just one unit.
They came out to Russia. Виїжджали.
So, 2 groups.
And 4 a.m. 2 book systems, one more complete, one less complete, were leaving towards the Russian border.
Three book
systems. Okay.
Okay, so sorry guys. One system left at 2 a.m. and 2 systems left at 4 a.m.
2 systems left at 2 a.m. One was full with missiles, one was lack. And one missile launch Book M1, together with operational car that helps to operate Book M1, left at 4 a.m. on 18th of July.
Дуже дякуємо за clarification.
Yes, the day before.
Просимо, do we have more questions for Mr. Naida?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.